I am Mary. My sister and I have been treated differently by our parents since we were young. My sister, named Lucy, 3 years my junior, has large and bright eyes like our mother's, and plump, well-colored lips. Lucy inherited our father's sharp nose and straight, silky blonde hair. With her well-proportioned, cute face and natural charm, she's always been good at winning over adults. She's been the favorite child, naturally skilled at currying favor. In stark contrast, I've led a very different life. My face is utterly plain, and we're so unalike that mentioning we're sisters usually surprises people. Next to my sister's exaggerated reactions, my unemotional responses have earned me a reputation as the gloomy older sister. Adults are easily deceived by Lucy's theatrical smiles, as if she's performing in a play. People shouldn't compare the two of you, it's unfair. I'm used to hearing this from others, but our parents never stand up for me. Instead, they seem pleased when Lucy is praised. From a young age, she realized she enjoyed the attention and effortlessly started to belittle me. Another boy confessed his feelings for me today. I'm just so popular. Do you even have any boyfriends, Mary? I have lots of them. Lucy loved to brag. This didn't change as we grew up. Although we no longer crossed paths at school since I was 3 years older, Lucy would bring boys home and flaunt her relationships right in front of me. I had become adept at ignoring her taunts over the years. While it's simple enough to ignore the teenage drama unfolding in front of me, Lucy has another bad habit. She acts as if everything she asks for will be given to her. Yet she also tries to take what I have. Ever since we were young, she has thrown tantrums every year wanting the birthday presents that I received. It's not fair. I want what Mary has. She would cry, and our parents would invariably respond, "You're the older one, so you should give it to her." I never understood why I had to give my gifts to Lucy. Whenever there was a conflict, our parents would pressure me to yield by reminding me that I was the older sister. Despite giving up my presents, I would receive nothing in return. I endured this unfair treatment, but I wasn't going to put up with it forever. During my last 3 years of high school, I worked tirelessly to save money for college and living expenses. After graduation, I moved out. "It's great you're living on your own. We'll save on food costs," my mother remarked, a comment I'll never forget. Lucy went to college but quickly fell behind due to her partying, and dropped out within a year. She started working part-time jobs, but they never lasted. Now, she's just mooching off our parents and staying at home. Yet, she remained arrogant towards me. "Don't worry, I'll marry a high-spec guy soon." Despite her high standards, she struggled to meet the right man. Perhaps she still dreamt of a fairy tale prince. As an adult, when Lucy became a financial burden, our parents, now strapped for cash, began demanding money from me every month. "We raised you, so you owe us a bit of support." Compelled by a sense of obligation, I started sending them money regularly. Despite providing more than enough, they kept asking for more. "You turned out well because of us." Children are like savings banks for their parents. So what about Lucy? I bit back my inner frustration. After such accusations, I couldn't find the words to respond. It was infuriating that Lucy was always favored. But I had to admit, I was also provided for daily meals, and was allowed to attend high school and university. Filled with these mixed feelings, I continued to send money home for 5 years. That's when a turning point arrived. The man I'd been dating, who knew all about my lifelong struggles with my parents and sister and my financial support as an adult, proposed to me. He understood when I told him, "I've given more than enough. I want to stop the payments. Let's go visit your family together and discuss it." Empowered by his support, I decided to visit my family after several years. I called to arrange a visit to introduce him, which surprised my parents and sister immensely. "Mary getting married? You're joking, huh?" Though she was skeptical at first, she came to understand when we visited together. My fiancé's strong presence during our visit is something I vividly remember. Regarding the money Mary has been sending, when my fiancé tried to talk about the financial support I provided, my father quickly interrupted him. We've received more than enough from you. You both should focus on your own lives now. He was likely worried about appearances, pretending my financial support never existed. His sudden change of heart was astounding. But it finally felt like a weight was lifted off my shoulders as they declared the end of my contributions. Thus, I was able to marry peacefully. Unfortunately, Lucy began to frequently visit our house, getting overly familiar with my husband in her cloying manner. You're going abroad for your honeymoon. How nice. I've never been anywhere but on school trips. Oh, Lucy, stop lying. Since high school, she had been going on domestic trips with our parents during every summer and winter vacation, and even enjoyed annual trips abroad with her boyfriends after graduation. My husband, aware of her fabrications, still listened to her with a pleasant smile. Then one day, she called me. Can I stay over tonight? I thought she would say that. But instead, she started with an unexpected thanks. Thank you, Mary. I was confused as I had done nothing recently to warrant thanks. But she continued without pause. I appreciate you paying $50,000 for the trip. What? I was speechless at her absurd claim. She laughed mischievously. Mom, Dad, and I are on the luxury cruise you're taking for your honeymoon. A luxury cruise? Confused, my mind was swarmed with question marks. It's unfair, Mary. A 100-day luxury cruise around the world for your honeymoon. What? Our honeymoon is supposed to be in Cancun. Stop lying. Your husband told me about the cruise around the world. What does she mean? I told him how envious I was of your round-the-world honeymoon. And he said, why don't you guys join too? He's even covering the costs for our parents and me. He's so generous. Lusser was triumphant. Wait a minute, I said, trying to collect my thoughts. Ignoring me, she immediately switched to a video call, gleefully showing off the interior of the luxurious cruise ship, panning the camera to highlight the extravagant amenities. Recognizing the familiar facilities, I inadvertently mentioned the name of the cruise ship. When she confirmed it was indeed that ship, I was utterly confused. What's going on? Are you so upset that we're coming too? Trying to enjoy the luxury all to yourselves is bad form. On this trip, your husband will surely see I'm the better woman. Her arrogant declaration pushed me to reveal the truth. We were on that luxury cruise last year. Before our marriage, I had indeed taken a cruise with my husband's family. Fearing my parents and sister would demand to join, I had kept it a secret. Wait, Mary, I don't understand what you mean. As Lucy voiced her confusion, my husband arrived home. I quickly explained the situation, and he calmly responded. I'm glad they boarded safely. While Lucy and I were confused, he continued. Let's clear things up. A few days ago, your parents asked me to divorce you and remarry your sister. They said Lucy was more suitable as a spouse, and that while you could manage alone, she needed someone like me. Stunned, I couldn't believe Lucy and even my parents would suggest such a thing. I felt sad and miserable. My husband adamantly refused their ludicrous proposal. Lucy's frequent visits were apparently part of her strategy to sway his affections her way. Growing impatient with his refusals, my parents had even tried to extort a regular payment from him if he wouldn't marry her. Unaware of these developments, I was shocked. My husband explained further. If they want luxury, they should earn their own money. But since your sister and your parents claim they can't find jobs, I asked if there were any vacancies for them as crew on the luxury cruise we took last year. There were indeed vacant positions due to a shortage of staff for various tasks like cleaning. Thinking it was a pleasure cruise, my sister and parents happily boarded. Since they boarded without passports, they can't disembark at foreign ports. If they refuse to work, it'll be considered freeloading. So they'll have to work on board until they return to the States. My husband finished explaining calmly. What? The loud voice that erupted without a pause was from Lucy on the phone. Work here as staff permanently? They were desperate for help, so they welcomed you enthusiastically, right? Now, please work hard for the next 100 days without any breaks. as my husband delivered this merciless decree. Lucy's usual cloying sweetness was nowhere to be found. Her true nature surfaced as she raised her voice in disbelief. "What do you mean, work as staff? You didn't pay for our trip? I merely asked if you wanted to join. You jumped to conclusions on your own. The training for new staff here is very strict, so be prepared. Oh, and since it seems like you have debts, you'll have to settle them yourself." According to my husband, it became clear from Lucy's casual visits and talks about her day-to-day life that she and our parents were deeply in debt. They had squandered the money I had been sending without any plan. My father on gambling like slots and poker, and my mother, aspiring to look as young and beautiful as her daughter, had lavishly spent on plastic surgery and spa treatments to appear like sisters. Lucy, with no earnings, indulged in nightly escapades and extravagantly squandered money on nightclubs. I was at a loss for words in response to their utterly irresponsible daily lives. "I hope you truly understand how hard it is to earn your keep and work on repaying those debts," my husband said coldly, cutting her off. Frantic, Lucy turned to me for help. "Please, Mary, I can't work here forever. It's impossible." The cruise ship, where Lucy now found herself obliged to work, was vast. It housed multiple themed restaurants, from Japanese to Western and Chinese, and stages for shows, bars, cafes, a large bathhouse, sauna, open-air baths, and a pool. The behind-the-scenes work to keep such a massive ship clean, serve meals consistently, and ensure guest satisfaction was undoubtedly demanding. It was hard to imagine my pampered sister handling such rigorous tasks. "Life isn't as easy as you think," I finally got to say the words I had held back for so long. Experience the hardship of earning money firsthand. Lucy was silent for a moment before pleading in a desperate scream. "I can't handle this kind of work. I'll apologize for everything and repay the money I took, just get me out of here." Having already given up on her and our parents, I issued an ultimatum. "I'm sorry, but I can no longer trust you, Dad or Mom. You wasted the money I sent, and even tried to have me divorced so you could take my place. I can't even bear to put you above anyone else. Don't contact me ever again. Goodbye." Ignoring her continued screams from the other end, I hung up. A long-standing resentment was lifted at that moment, and I felt incredibly relieved. My husband nodded in agreement, satisfied with the outcome. Now we can go on our honeymoon without any worries. I hadn't really enjoyed our last cruise trip because of the guilt and secrecy regarding my sister and parents. My husband had always been considerate about it, and I was truly grateful to him. During the voyage, Lucy repeatedly tried to contact me, despite my having blocked her. She was assigned to cleaning guest rooms, from luxurious suites to more economical accommodations, and was overwhelmed by the daily workload. Guest complaints were frequent, and she struggled under the strict supervision of the regular staff. "I want to escape this place. I'll do any job other than this." She seemed to have reached her breaking point. Well, it was her own doing, she had to accept it. After that call, I ignored all further attempts by her to contact me. Occasionally, my husband's acquaintances among the ship's staff would update us. My father, working as a service staff member, was constantly dealing with outrageous demands from guests. My mother struggled in the kitchen, a far cry from her long-standing role as a homemaker, overwhelmed by the precision required in meal preparation. After 100 days, they might return a bit tougher, but my husband joked, "They probably won't have paid off their debts yet. So I expect they'll be boarding again as staff soon." How much debt they actually had, I wasn't sure. My husband likely knew but kept it from me. Perhaps to spare me the pain of knowing how my support had led to their ruin. But that was perhaps for the best. Lucy needed to learn the value and difficulty of honest work, and I hoped this harsh reality would teach her and our parents to live more responsibly. Freed from years of familial obligation, I now live a liberated life. Was it because they were family that I couldn't sever ties earlier? With these thoughts, I look forward to a happy future with my husband who saved me. Watching migratory birds soar across the blue sky.